Are we on?
We are on.
Does this thing have a number yet?
It does. It's number 180.
100. Is that the weekly SlapperCast with Blaggards?
That is, yes. That's the full title. Yes.
Wow. The weekly WEA or WEE?
Maybe a little bit of both this week. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. We do have Chad Smallpox on the line. How you feeling, young fella?
Pretty good. Pretty good. The worst of it is hopefully well past me.
Been and gone?
Yeah. The fever sinus crap I was having last week is gone, but I have still have little bouts of my energy will dip down occasionally. That kind of heavy-headed feeling you get when you've got sinus infection or something.
Ooh. What about you, Miss Heide? How are you feeling?
Good. I think we're past the sickness over here.
Yeah, but how's the Phoenix heat?
Actually, today, I don't even know if it hit 100, so it came down a little.
What?
Yeah, it cooled off just a little.
Come on, Chad, we're going to see her.
Yeah, let's go. How's the time?
Yeah. Wow.
Got a little break. Yeah. It was nice.
Yeah, we didn't even dip. I mean, we didn't even come close to come. We've been triple digits, it seems like, every day for I don't know how long.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's just nuts. And everybody's talking about it. I mean, just everywhere you go, everybody's like, of course, here we are talking about it, but yeah, I've been here for a long time and I've never been used to it. So this has been excruciating. This has been so.
Yeah, at least we have been getting a little bit of rain for this past week or so.
Not here.
Didn't it rain yet at your house?
No.
We got some rain here yesterday.
Well, I take that back. I've been up in Huntsville, and Huntsville has not. We haven't seen a drop in months. I mean, it seems like months. Yeah. So, but yeah, Houston. My daughter told me that there was rain on the ground when she woke up. I think that today is Tuesday, so it would have been Sunday morning, maybe. Mm. I was going to say, it looks like we some of us have the same backgrounds, but somebody's got a new background.
Yes.
Chad.
I'm adjusting my volume here.
You're
at my mom's house.
Oh, I thought you were in the east wing of your mansion.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom is traveling again with her best friend Phyllis. They're spending some time together up in Maine right now, but in a few days they're going to hop on a plane over to Iceland. For the first time. I think, Phyllis may have been there before, but Mom has definitely never been to Iceland before. So they've been planning this for a long time. So I'm really glad because my mom had COVID like back in March, and there were some complications that followed that and all this crazy stuff going on. So she was I don't want to miss this trip. But everything worked out. So she's going, and yeah, she's doing great. So I'm really excited for her. So I'm here watching her two outdoor cats, making sure they're fed.
Outdoor cats.
Yeah.
Outdoor cats.
How do you watch an outdoor cat? You just make sure they're fed. Like, you don't have to
make sure they're fed. Yeah. It had to be fed twice a day, and it's just if my apartment where I usually stay is anywhere from a 15 to 30-minute drive from here, depending on traffic. So it just makes more sense for me to stay, save money on gas. So, but I love, whenever I have this opportunity, I love to take advantage of the sonic isolation that this place has that my apartment does not. So I've been playing a lot of guitar and recording stuff and singing things I can't do in my apartment in the middle of the night.
Jazzercise. Yeah.
That is the one cool thing my apartment does have is I don't have neighbors above or below me, so I can stomp around and not annoy anybody. That is at least one nice thing about it.
Yeah. I don't know anybody that has neighbors below them. Oh, below. You said below, not below. I get you.
But yeah.
Took a minute.
I've heard stories.
Well,
so.
Yeah. I mean, if you got $20 lying around, everybody has that neighbor. But anyway.
So, Mr. Devlin, you had another solo acoustic adventure.
I did.
Long distance.
I did.
You travel far and wide to sling your acoustic solo.
Yeah. It just shows you I can't get arrested in Houston, but I can get a gig in Arkansas. Yeah, I went out there. Last Saturday night. It was postponed because there was a COVID scare out there. It turned out to be okay, but they called it off last minute. I was actually in the car when he phoned. Luckily, I hadn't crossed state lines, or there would have been a dead Jerry.
No, not
Yeah, yeah. So we postponed. So we did last Saturday, and a friend of ours, a mutual friend of all of ours, John Riesenfeld, called me up and he said, "Ah." I said, "You're high, aren't you, John?" He said, "Ah." I said, "Okay. Sounds like you want to go to Arkansas." I just, "Ah." I said, "All right, get in the car." Ah. And next thing you know, he was in the car and he goes, "Wait, I think we were about to Texarkana." He said, Where am I? Who the fuck are you?" So no, we had a great time. He's John Riesenfeld is one of these guys that's musical. Well, we found this out before when we took him to Albannon's in College Station, Bryan, Texas. He's a walking encyclopedia of music, old and new. His late father was a big fan of Clancy Brothers and the Wolf Tones and all the stuff that we do. So he came in knowing all that stuff, and he is just he's not very tall, but he's up there high, if you know what I mean. Like, hey, John, but he remembers everything, and he took notes at the show that I did, the acoustic show. He wrote down every song I played that he did. I mean, it's just, I was blown away. But yeah, so went to the Hibernia Tavern in Little Rock, Arkansas, and spectacular night. Blaggards have really made a home there. We've Heidi, you got to experience it. That was your first time there, and I mean, and just rewinding back to then, that was like all nights at Hibernia. It's a tremendous night. It's always fun. It's always just filled with laughter and good friends and blah blah blah. But it was funny because we went to Memphis the next night. So we had Little Rock, Arkansas on a weeknight. Then we had Memphis, Tennessee on a weekend, and Arkansas blew the doors off the place. I mean, Memphis couldn't keep up. They were just, they were nice and, great crowd and, nice people. But Arkansas has just got so rowdy, and Little Rockers, they're just could not be tamed. So it was the same again. It was just all our dear friends from there and from Ireland and from, in and around, so food's great. There's, Jerry and Sarah and just all the gang running just fantastic. Just
I saw Rick Wasserman. The Cheesecake Man was there.
Yeah. Gator,
that's right.
Yeah. He gave me a vial of, dramatic pause, mosquito repellent. He gave me and it smelled really, really good. I was like, "Are you sure this isn't going to attract these motherfuckers to me? I'm not going to be swarmed." But it's really nice. And he always brings us cheesecake and whatnot. There was a birthday party for our dear friend Margaret, who turned 70, and we had so we're overloaded with cake. They sent us home with John and I. They sent us home with just buckets of cake. Couldn't even touch it. It was just so good. And Jerry had, I don't know if anybody's seen our social media pages, but Jerry had presented me with this beautiful painting. Our friend Caroline Lankos had taken this picture way back when we were recording a song out in Beaumont, Texas, or Beau Vegas, if you like. And she had taken this picture as a black and white shot, and Chad has been using that for the poster for my acoustic set. Jerry painted it and gave it to me on Saturday night in Little Rock, and I couldn't believe it. Just couldn't believe it. It's stunning, and it's such a beautiful piece. And so now it's hanging right above my bed, just right as you, Chad, you've seen it, when you lie there and you like,
yeah,
no, just kidding.
Yeah. Jerry's phenomenally. He's so humble about it because he never talks about his painting. But if you have access to the storage room, which is in the back where we always put a lot of our cases and stuff when we're playing there. He's got, all these canvases and paints and stuff, and there's paint on the floor. You could even on the out back. I think he goes in the alleyway. Sometimes you can see there's paint all over the concrete by the back door.
But, and it's all hanging all over the pub too.
Yeah,
it's all for sale.
Unless somebody tells you would no idea that it's his paintings, but he's done a lot of pop art kind of stuff where I think there's one of John Lennon in there, and there's different. I forget who else he's done, but there's like some famous figures and stuff like that. But he's really good at doing photorealistic paintings, which is exactly what he did with Caroline's photo there, which is it's just stunning.
Wow.
So and he's doing one of Shane MacGowan right now. And if you're not familiar with Shane MacGowan, you need to go and learn your stuff, because I always joke, without Shane MacGowan, Blaggards wouldn't have a job. We wouldn't have a set list. We have borrowed many, many, many a tune from that young fella.
Oh yeah.
So
yep.
I'm going to see if I can pull it up here, but I'll just give you a little. It's not done yet, but I'll give you a little. If you can.
Nice.
Isn't that great?
Cool. Yeah. That's like from the Pope's era. Looks like.
Yeah. It's just magnificent. But I walked in there and he said, it's not finished yet, but I'll get it. I said, Jerry, give it to me. Take it. I'll take it right now.
Did he do one of Rory? I wanted to say.
I haven't seen one. I'd steal it if he did.
Yeah.
And I do want to mention too, shut up. I do want to mention too that the aforementioned young Riesenfeld, we were on the way to 7-hour drive, right? So plenty of time to listen to some stuff. And he was going through my CDs, old man. And he found the Rory Gallagher CD, and he said, he said, I always hear you guys talk about Rory Gallagher. He said, you mind if I play this? I said, I mind if you don't play it. You'll be walking. So he put it in, and he was just stunned. His face was just pressed up against the speakers. He just couldn't. So it was one of those things like, how have I never heard this?
That's pretty much how I reacted too. Because you don't. He's like a guitarist. Like every like real guitarist I know, like Ork obviously knows who he is.
Yeah.
Pretty much every career, or really serious guitar player I know knows who Rory is.
Culture, yeah.
Good culture, especially. But yeah, most people generally, even if you're into blues in the States, I notice a lot of people just have never heard of him here, and it ain't right.
So I get all my CDs from Cactus, and Quinn, the owner, was in there when I was buying one of the things, and he was freaking out. He said, I saw him open for such and such in 19 whatever it was, and I just he was just, he's still as giddy about it today, as he was talking about that show. It just left a mark on him forever. Heide, are you familiar with his? Have we played with him in the van with you?
You might have. I don't know. I'm not really familiar.
He's unique to me, and the fact that he's considered a blues guy, and he definitely is, and you can hear it. But his song, he's really versatile songwriter too, and most of his songs don't have like traditional blues progressions in them. He plays around with a lot of interesting chord progressions and chord voicings and things that most blues guys don't do, or at least they don't do it anymore. And that's why I wish people would listen to him more, because he actually, we've talked about this on the show before too, but a lot of metal guitarists worship Rory, and they've gotten a lot of tricks from him. He's well known as an extremely groundbreaking guitar, not just songwriting.
Brian May from Queen is one of the most notable players that learned from him, and was always so enamored with his playing, and to this day he'll still quote Rory Gallagher, and just because when he was starting out, he'd go and see Rory, and Rory always took time to show him his effects and his pedals and his amps and his gear, and he just could, he said, everybody said the same thing about him, just sweet man, egoless, which is, amazing at that level, when you're that,
Mm-hmm.
So.
Wow. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it was really worth it. It's just, I mean, there's nothing he does. He does that. He'll do that old Delta blues. He'll do the hard rock and blues. He'll do the jazzy kind of numbers, and he got a great voice. And his interpretation of these old traditional songs mixed with his Irish upbringing and just his endless vocabulary of guitar licks. It's criminal, that a guy can play that many songs and never repeat the same solo. It seems, just so magician. Yeah. So John was blown away, and everybody at the Hibernia was asking for you guys. They're just they cannot wait to see you guys again.
Cool.
Yeah, they're
place. I liked it there. It was friendly crowd and neat pub.
Enthusiastic too. Yeah, very enthusiastic.
You can't beat the welcoming we got. Yeah. The standing ovation we got, or the cheering, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Right when we walked in the door.
Yeah. Well, that happens everywhere when you forget your pants, but that's that's neither here nor there. But we also got to meet some friends of ours. The Smith family came out, and we had probably the best. I know for me, it was probably the best Asian food I've ever had in my life. When Lisa Gabbert Smith's mother made, they said, "Hey, come on over before the show. We want to feed you." We were in town, so we went over to the house and blew me away. Anyway, they were all there, and it brought a bunch of friends, and loud, and because it's unnerving playing an acoustic show. Heidi, you've done it. You do the solo, right?
A little, not like you though. I mean, I just
you're talented. That's the only difference.
It's nerve-wracking. You're all by yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, and tell me about that. Tell me about the first note. When you're standing there and you got that, it's all eyes on you, and you got to play that first note.
Yeah, it's better to just start right in, like, and then a song or two in, somebody stops you and tell us about yourself, and I'm like,
I like drugs.
I just want to just just play it. But it getting started is probably the hardest part. Yeah,
I hate that first note. If I could skip that first note or even the first song, you know what I mean? Like, just pretend, because I don't like, and then I don't like it in the band even. The band will tell you, and you've probably seen it. I'll pace and I'll get real nervous, and I'm already sweating really badly, and by the time it's time, you ready? Yeah, for the fourth time, hippie, go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
So it's even worse on your own. On an acoustic too. There's nothing to back you up. It's naked and it's just and I don't like the way it sounds. I'm not an acoustic. I mean, I've done a handful of acoustic solo shows, and so I'm definitely not versed in this. We were trying to add up the other day. It's funny. I was on the phone with my brother out in California, and we were trying to add up the amount of shows I've done, because I started very late. I started late in as far as playing. I was mid-30s, I think, by the time I started to do live music. So I was already considered old man for rock and roll. But we're trying to add up the amount of shows, not just Blaggards, but going back from On the Dole, 5 Easy Payments, all those other bands, trying to figure out how many shows we've done with and we're like knocking on about 4,500 is what he's,
Oh yeah, I have no doubt. Yeah, because you were long before I met you. You had been doing very regular gigs around town for several years already. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I guess it was early there, but it's still it was because he's asking me, he said, well, would you do more acoustic shows? I said, yeah, I'd do. Just back in regular time, you wouldn't have the time to do to do acoustic shows, because we're usually playing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so there's not much left over. But now, since we're kind of, look at, getting the lineup back in check, where, it's easier to do some of those shows. I had a great time in Weston doing the acoustic thing, and that's when the Jerry and I started talking about doing this one. So yeah, I'll do a few more. It was definitely fun, and it's like Heidi. Oh, of course, Chad, you've done it as well. You've done the acoustic. I remember I was doing an acoustic thing, and I roped you in to do one while I was gone.
Right. Yeah. Because we had a regular Wednesday night thing. We were doing a show. So instead of just shutting it down, why don't you do it on your own? All right.
Yeah.
We talked about this before, but I guess Little Rock was probably a little easier for you. But I remember when you did the Weston one, you're like, oh crap, because it was turned out they wanted you to play from 8 to midnight, like every other show. Yeah. Which is, and that's what I was doing at Molly's for those 2 nights on my own, and I didn't really think about how hard that was going to be until I started doing it, because I played solo shows before, but not that much in one night. It was usually at most like maybe a 30 or 45 minute opening set was what I had done in the old days. Yeah. So your voice starts getting tired. You're burning through the songs faster than you thought. And you're like, looking at the list going, shit. What am I gonna do? Yeah. And it's tough. It's a lot of hard work. So I have guys who do that every week in, week out on their own. That's all they do. Like Davey, our friend Davey Bryan.
That's the top right there.
Yeah. Those guys, man. Dana Cooper, my friend Dana, has been doing it for decades, and he's absolutely amazing at it. Of course, he doesn't have to do 4-hour gigs. He's well established now. He's moved past that, but he did used to do it, because that's the first time I saw him. He's playing at Griff's actually in Houston, doing those, playing mostly covers and things like that. So anyway, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a ton of work, and the I didn't get a chance to do it, or I didn't. I forget why I didn't do it, but I came up with a song. I came up with an acoustic version of the song on Blagmatic, Rain or Shine, and I came up with this it's kind of this flowery open chord kind of thing in place of the hard rocking little riff at the beginning. So I had it all worked out in my head, but I didn't get a chance to play it. So I'm gonna mess with that some more. But cool. It was really fun to take these songs, especially the original songs, and to bring the tempo down and open them up a little bit. Just let them breathe a little bit more, and kind of, So that was the hardest thing in Weston. I hadn't really figured it out that I sing those songs pretty fast. So the tempo is pretty quick, and that means that 3 verses and 3 choruses can be over fast.
Yeah.
So I brought the tempo down, and then just tried to add in. And the other thing is too, you really get to experiment with new chord progressions, modulations, and stuff like that, just to add a bit of color in there. Because somebody going in there and banging out 3 chords and 3 verses, three choruses, 3 chords. Yeah, I'm bored after 3 minutes. So, so a lot of the songs I tried to do some different. I tried them in different keys and tried to add a little bit in the middle, so you just get a little breathing time. Because I opened up with the aforementioned Shane MacGowan's Sally McLennan back in the Pogues days, and that's a song where it's great when you can. So I was doing the call and response all on my own to alert the crowd if they wanted to sing along with it. They got it immediately, and so it was really nice. We had a great back and forth first song, and then it's all downhill too. If you can get them, if you can engage them and grab them at that, at that, that's it. It's just, and they are already it's such a beautiful pub. If you're in a pub and there's a TV, like TV by the stage, that's not a pub. That's a fucking corporate hellhole. And they want 4 hours of whatever in the top 40. That's all it is. But you go into a pub with a stage and there's no TV by it, they know what they're doing. So everybody on there is listening, and they're paying attention. They're singing and they're clapping. They're doing it. It was very, very fun. I probably one of the loudest encore, standing ovation thing is at the end. I was shaken. I was so taken aback by the response. So I just floored. They're just, and I explained to them too. There's stuff that I won't go into here, but there's the Hibernia Tavern in Little Rock, Arkansas is very, very special, not only to Blaggards, but to me on a deeper level, because it just seems like I got to know them, at a certain time, real dark time, I just got to know a bunch of them, and they're, that pub will always be a special, very, very special place to me. So
yeah, absolutely.
It's very, very, very fun.
Yeah. And all credit, dude. We've been singing Jerry's praises almost this whole show, but whenever you find a pub like that, it's all because of the people who run it. And in this case, especially because of the guy who owns it, is there every day. And it's a labor of love for him,
Yeah.
He really loves his clientele. And he knew how to do it right from the get go. And it's all because of him that place is what it is, for sure. About attracting the right people, to the place and keeping them happy.
Yeah. And if you're ever through Little Rock, go get yourself some curry and chips at the Hibernia. It's magic. And the other thing is too, foolishly, I forgot to eat that night, and it was we're on the way home from the thing, and we were already about I think about 2 hours into the journey, and I realized that I still hadn't eaten, and I was God, I was miserable. I was absolutely. Of course, there's nothing that you want to eat at that hour anyway. So it was, I just but it's one of those places that you feel so good when you're there. You really don't need to eat or drink or it's a special place. So
yeah, it is. So Heidi, what type of solo shows have you done? Are they like?
For me,
what kind of venues have you done on your own?
So I've done assisted living homes and a couple like private parties, museums, stuff like that. Where kind of. Well, it's funny at the assisted living homes. I would expect to be tucked back in a corner or something when they're having their social hour or whatever. But no, they like seat them like you're giving them a concert, and they're very. It depends on the home, but some of them are really opinionated about what you play and how you play. Like they can be a very tough audience. And then others of them, they just love everything you play, and they're curious about what was that called, or tell us about yourself, or they have all these questions, and it depends on the room. But there was an old man who literally left because, and this was the one I just did. He listened to like a song and a half, and he left because he thought I was going to do all like country fiddling, and that's all he wanted to hear, so he left. And what I try to do is a mixture of things. So I do some of my Irish tunes, but they don't like all Irish tunes, and you can't really blame them. It's just a fiddle playing a bunch of ice, so they don't like that. They like some of it, so I'm very selective about which ones I play. And then I'll do, every once in a while somebody will say, do you know the old time fiddle stuff? And so then I play a little Orange Blossom or St. Anne's Rose, anything that's along those lines. But a lot of them want to hear the class. They see a violin, they want to hear classical. And then I'll throw in some opera ones or some,
oh, cool,
kind of pop tunes, but not really. Like maybe something they heard Josh Groban sing, things like that. So I try to mix it up, and they absolutely love old American songbook songs, like Fly Me to the Moon. What else do I play for? Moon River. They love that. Anything like that. What was the one?
Moonshiner? But no,
I haven't tried it, but you never know. They might get up and dance.
Yeah. Do you? Is there a tune, or is there a couple of tunes in your head that you can just absolutely slay them with every time? Is there one that just knocks them out every time?
Let me think. I'm blanking on the name of it. It's an older tune. Can't Take My Eyes Off of You.
Oh yeah.
They love
Yeah.
that. And
Freebird.
no.
Yeah.
They really, really
Marker.
like. They like Omeo, Babino Caro. They love that kind of stuff.
Is that Can't Take My Eyes Off of You? Is that the one that goes, I love you, baby, if it's quite
oh yeah,
alright?
and they
That
sing
one?
along.
And the
It's really,
da 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 da
yep,
da da da
yep,
da.
they
That's
love
cool.
that. And I like playing that kind of stuff more
That's
than
Yeah.
anything. So yeah, I try to mix it up, but it's funny once in a while, they're like, oh, and they just leave. They just if you're not playing what they like.
It's just so
Wow.
weird. I think it's
I
tough.
know.
Yeah, literally a tough crowd.
Yeah.
I was just picturing all these old people going.
It can be like that. Yeah, I had one heckler one time that kept asking me questions or telling me to play certain things, and it was like, I don't know if I'm going to get through this hour. Like, I just don't know what to
Whoa.
do. You have to just kind of take it with a grain of salt. But I had hoped that most of them couldn't hear very well, but that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can do no wrong, right? Nope.
You need to bring a taser with you. The first one that walks out, tase his ass, and I'll sit the rest of them down.
Well, this one place has a cage of birds. And if I play anything upbeat, these birds go bonkers and they're so loud. So, like the first time I played, I could barely concentrate because these birds were yapping away in this cage not too far from me. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know.
Taser. It works on birds too. Fry those little monkeys. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm hoping that I can put together a solo show of songs I really like that are more along the lines of, those popular ones that I can do at a restaurant and have like a regular restaurant gig. A lot of them want you to play with tracks, but I'm convinced there's a way to do it without track. If it's
you
good
can.
enough, the selections are good enough, and your arrangements are good enough, I think it can.
Yeah.
So.
So just off the top of your head, what's Heidi's number one favorite thing to play in a room like that? In any room, any situation. What's your go-to? You just want to bring the house down, all ages.
Probably one of the big opera type songs because I just love to play those melodies. I like to play anything that you have to play with a lot of heart.
Yeah.
Even Maurice Lennon's "If Ever You Were Mine," I play that and they love it. And they don't. And most of them have no idea what it is, but they ask, "What was that?" That was beautiful. So stuff like that. I do like to play fast fiddly stuff. There's a couple fiddle tunes that I like to play.
And do you sit or stand when you play?
I stand. I've thought, maybe I should sit some of the time, but I stand. I don't feel right sitting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I can't. Well, I don't like to sit, but so Chad, if you had to do a solo show, just what's the song that you just think any place day or night, knock them out?
Like first song?
It doesn't matter. Just a song that's going to bring the house down. What would you think?
Bring the house down. When I did those gigs at Molly's Downtown, the Beatles stuff that I covered got a really big response. I mean, I learned, and I couldn't even, I'd stumble through it if I tried to play it now, but I had learned "Here Comes the Sun," and that got a really big response because all the picking and arpeggios and stuff in it I had learned. That stuff, the Beatles stuff always goes over really well. I'm really fond of covering, and this is still true, the George Harrison stuff. George Harrison has a cover of "If Not For You," which is that song that Bob Dylan wrote.
Yeah.
And I think George's is the definitive version of it. It's so great. It's on his first solo record. And that's usually the first one, like even 3 years where I haven't been playing a lot of guitar, I can pick that one up and still get all the way through it. And I don't have to struggle to remember the chords or the words too much.
Yeah.
That's not really, it doesn't really bring the house down, but that's one I would probably reach for just to get warmed up too. And Space Oddity by Bowie, pretty much always got a really big response. I used to cover Behind Blue Eyes too by The Who when we at the Beverly on Wednesdays.
Yeah, that's a good
one.
That
always got a good response as well.
Remember that? Old Brown Shoe as well.
Old Brown Shoe, yeah, of course, yeah. God, that's probably that's a completely underrated. That's one I should probably rescue in the underrated portion.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Doing your fucking job for you.
I think it is possibly the most underrated Beatles song, if not the most underrated, one of the most underrated songs that George Harrison wrote himself.
Ooh, shots fired.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. It truly it's a remarkable gift to be able to go out one person with and we've talked about it before too. I mean, the looper station or the looper pedal, having that stuff, playing it and then recording it and playing it back in real time and playing along with that. Wonderful. That's takes a lot of talent and a lot of good timing and a lot of practice to do that. However, I'm not a fan of it myself, only because I can't do it. So it's difficult to. I've messed with it for a split second. I don't have the patience, and I also like to even improv. I like to surprise myself with stuff. Like I literally can't remember what song it was, but Saturday night playing a song, and I wanted to do an instrumental part of the song, and I just modulated for those non-players. I just went up a key, and I just or step, and I just was. It was so the change in the dynamic in the room changed for that minute. Then it went back to the thing, and I kind of sang a little bit higher than I had the last, and it was one of those moments that you could do. And even as Heide and Chad can attest, I'm not fun to play with, but I'm really not not even on my own is it any fun. The guy can't even play with himself, but it's just so fulfilling to be able to just at the spur of the moment think of something, try it, and go. And you don't have to train wreck everybody else,
Yeah.
You have the freedom to take time or add something or play a little differently. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love coming up with new endings to the song. Mm-hmm. So so if you start to slow it down, and then you're thinking, hey, I'm not going to end the other one, just let it ring out, or like the last one. I want to do something different here. So you just try something, and if it doesn't work, Look at nobody's really going to be able. They're not going to call you on it. But it really pushed something. It pushed some buttons in me. I need to pay this a little bit more attention. I went and took my guitar first thing Monday morning. I went and took it to Neil Sargent, local luthier here in Houston, Texas. Because it's funny, I've got so many guitars, it's not even funny. And I've got, I want to say about 6 or 7 acoustics. And of all of them, one is barely working. I mean, of all of them, I beat the tar out of them. So there's no. It's
funny how you're kind of attracted to guitars like a shepherd is to sheep. I'm trying to think. I just think of like even guitars that you don't own, like my Gibson Sonics. Like you borrowed it once years ago when you were having trouble with one of your. I can't remember which one you were having trouble with, but you took it out and you didn't use it the whole night. I think you used it for one set at Fido. And then like years later, you said, hey, what's going on with that Gibson Sonics? I don't know, it's sitting in my closet. I said, bring it over. I want to see it again. So you took it, you set it up and stuff and took it to your show. I don't think you actually used it. I have a picture of it sitting at HEB, the Central Market.
Yeah.
You'd had it there, but you didn't actually use it. And then you gave it back to me all set up and cleaned. I'm like, well, thank you. I still don't use it because I don't play electric guitar very often, but I probably am going to start using it now that I'm starting to record more at home. But I just think it was
great guitar.
It is. That just says about your affinity for guitars. You're like, give me that thing, even though you really didn't need to use it or anything. You're just like, I just want to spend some time with it.
Yeah,
it's cool.
and again, there's something that's so cathartic too about taking a machine like that's been in the closet and you're putting new strings on it, setting it up, and just getting it to where I like it, and it just it plays great. And
yeah, that guitar too is one of those things. It has such a distinctive feel and tone and everything that you just don't want to mess with. It's kind of reminded me of your the way your Gibson the brown with the
the Explorer.
The Explorer,
yeah.
The original pickups on that one remind me of the Sonics. It's a very warm, dirty tone. You can't really get a clean tone out of it because it's just the way it is. I don't know if it has something to do with the age of the guitars or anything, but that and that guitar too. My Gibson Sonics had been through the ringer too. That was my first electric guitar that I owned. I bought it from my friend Sean, who was a guitarist in Elemental Penguin, my first high school band, my only high school band. And then later I used it in the Change. It was pretty much my primary guitar in the Change for most of the time. I was in the Change, I guess. I had a Stratocaster too. But
then Gibson lovers will love it. It's just it's such a great machine. And speaking of setups, Heidi, you got a new fiddle coming, don't you?
I do. I'm excited. It might be here
tomorrow.
I hope tomorrow. Probably Wednesday for sure. But it's I'm really excited. It's a Glasser, made by Andrew Glasser, New York. It's a carbon composite violin, so it's supposed to tolerate just about any condition. But they sound fantastic. They really do. I've played other acoustic electric instruments, and they're so. Like the Barkus Berry back there on the wall, the red and the black thing, that you can't play that anymore. It is so done. I killed that poor thing. I've tried Zeta, and the Zetas are good. They're really good, but they have a certain sound. They probably have the clearest sound of like a bunch that I've tried, but they're heavy. They're very heavy. And then I've tried a bunch of them. A bunch of I don't like electric violins because they sound like they're underwater. I don't care which ones they are. They sound like a guitar, and we already have guitar. We don't need another one.
Right, yeah.
So, but this one, it sounds so clear. I mean, the sound really is good for what it is. And then the bridge setup, so the pickup and the bridge setup are done by, it went from Andrew Glasser. He was so great. He said he would send me one to try that was set up acoustically, and then he sent it to Eric Aceto with Ithaca strings, who I guess has an incredible pickup system. I've read about it, I've heard about it. So he put the bridge pickup on it, and it should be here in the next 48 hours, 36 hours. I keep counting the hours.
Yes.
Looking out the window, like watching for an outdoor cat. I'm watching for the extra.
Oh my! That's cool.
I see it. Yeah.
What's the first thing you're going to play on that when you pick it up? What's the first thing you're going to play?
Well,
is it going to be the Heide Riggs original? What?
Yeah, that and Pirate. I have to play Pirate on it.
You send that woman a check. Give her a raise. That man. I'm so excited. If you think about it, maybe you send Chad a picture of it so we could post something. Because I'd love to post especially since these guys have treated you so well. I'd like to put their information on the website too, on the episode as well, just so we can shed a little light, share love. I spoke to Heidi a couple of times on the phone, and she was sounded like she was shaking. She was so happy. They're so nice, and they go, yeah, you're a professional, and they know that. I mean, think about it. They're putting their gear in your hands, and they know what you do, so they're going to send you the good stuff. It's just and it's so nice that they're treating you that well. Because because it's funny. I brought that guitar on Monday morning. I brought that acoustic guitar to Neil Sargent here, and that guy he'll get these. I kid you not, $50 Sears guitars, and they go, "Hey, can you make this sound good?" And he said, "What the fuck do you want me to do with it?" I go, that's about it. I can make it sound good once, but no, it's just, they're so poorly made. And what drives me crazy is there's stuff on the walls of these guitar shops, Rock and Robin, Fuller's Guitar here in Houston, but you can walk in and you can get dirt cheap, great gear. There's a place too up on 1960 if you're on the north side on 45, Guitar Emporium. They have I think Neil Sargent, not only because he's on my doorstep, but Neil Sargent, but my friend Rob up there at Guitar Emporium, they do setups that you just, I'll get a phone call a year later, go, hey, where are you? You haven't been in? I said, you fixed it. It won't fucking break. They've set it up so well, and it's, just does the job. They're just that my Green Jackson guitar. I remember I took it out. The first time I took it out, we went out on a 3-week tour, and I didn't change the strings. Usually I change the strings every show. I didn't change the strings for the whole show, and that thing for the whole tour, and that thing stayed in tune. It was unholy the way that this thing performed.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
especially considering the whammy bridge.
Yeah.
Or what do we call it? What kind of what do you call that bridge? Is it a Floyd?
It's a Floyd Rose. It's a Floyd Rose tremolo system. So when you look at it, it's floating. So if the strings are here going this way, and your fine tuners are here, it's this part. The tail is actually not touching. So you can when you use the tremolo arm, you can shake you can vibrate the strings. However, you can pull up and you can press down on it, and it's just I'm Neil Sargent was telling me that at the end of this month, July, he's going to turn 69, and we both just stopped and looked at each other and said, yeah, can't take the teenagers out of it. He said, for a whole year, I'm going to walk around with a smirk on my face. I said, yeah, it's just never grow up. But yeah, there's so much good gear out there, and it's just like Heidi said, it's just so amazing when these people, these great craftsmen, take take the time to give you exactly what you're looking for. I just can't wait to hear this thing. So
yeah, I mean, I called and it started with contacting Dan Emmett, I think is his name. He's a fiddle player, violins, and I went on his Facebook page to contact him, and he had mentioned this instrument, and then I came across Zach Brock, who plays for Snarky Puppy, and he's got the Glasser with the Asato pickup, and he had done a whole video just talking about it, not playing on it, but he's tons of videos of him touring with it, and he needed the same thing I did. If you're touring and you don't know what the weather is, what the room is, you can have the most expensive setup, and it maybe can't take all the conditions, and it's not going to stay in tune no matter what you do. And so I called and I said, this is what I saw posted about your instruments, and this is what I need. Like, what can and they were just, it's like what they love to do in life is build these instruments and help out these, players and artists with what they need for the stage. And I was like, wow, okay, cool. Like, they knew exactly what I was talking about. They knew exactly what I needed. They were more than happy to be involved and point me in the right direction and work together. I thought that was like really nice. I was like, oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
It was really, I learned a lot, and they really were great. But yeah, it's funny. You don't always know every condition until you're in it, and then you're struggling for like no reason. Just other than the instrument needs to fit that condition, or the equipment,
Yeah. Well, I think I'm as giddy as you are about hearing this thing playing. So maybe when you get it, you can send us a clip. I'd love to put it on the website just because it again, your job is so difficult in that, and every fiddle player that's played with us has complained about the the temperature changes, the humidity, just all the stuff that we go through on a regular basis. It's so tough on those, especially those really nice violins like you have. There's really great sounding ones. That's why I was so thrilled that you talked to Dan Emmett too. Dan has played with us a few times, and phenomenal player, and as wonderful a man as you're going to get. He's so like you said, just so genuine, and he knows everybody because he's been building violins now for quite a while, and the stuff looks tremendous. It's just his work looks, but he was always tinkering with the stuff, always buying and selling stuff, so he knows his gear.
Yeah.
I stumbled across a clip of us playing with Dan at on Patty's Day at O'Bannon's recently. It's been a long time since I've heard anything we did with him, and that's to me almost that whole period is like an era of the band that's almost lost in time, because he was a fill-in who we knew when we started working with him that he wasn't going to be able to play with us for very long because he was moving away, and but he played with us for a good long time. It was like maybe I would say like almost 6 months, maybe. Something like that.
And he was commuting from Dallas and from wherever the hell he was. I mean, the boy was driving.
And also, he never actually rehearsed with us. He learned everything on the fly. He showed up. The first gig was
Sherlock's
and Con. No,
it's Clear Lake.
Clear Lake, right? That hit big hall. It's actually a really great room. It's a shame that place didn't stay open.
It's back open again.
Is it? That's right. Okay, you've told me that. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's okay.
But yeah, he showed up and he played with us the first time there, just having learned a list of songs, some recordings that we'd sent him, and just first note. he was really talented. They're just learning stuff on the fly, but also faking his way through things he hadn't really learned yet. But the clip that I found of us on Patty's Day, he'd been with us for a good long, a few months at that point, and he sounded great. I'd forgotten how good he was,
Well, he's one of these guys. When we saw the clip of him playing, he was playing with the country band, and it was one of those things where he was just playing a couple of notes here and there, so you couldn't tell. And then after we got to know him, we heard some of his classical stuff and his more rock flavored stuff, and he really is. He's just a hell of a player, and like we've come to find out, very very talented, very. He will be one of the top. I think he's going to be one of the top violin builders around, because he's just, his attention to detail is unmatched, I think so.
Cool.
But I don't know about you guys, but I want to kill something. I want to kill something. kill.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. So
that's amazing. It's taken us nearly an hour to get to this portion.
I know. I've been waiting all. Yeah. Should I kill? Should I go ahead and kill?
Yeah, I think it's your turn to go first, right?
I think I'm going to go first. I'm going to give you guys a little break since you guys have been talking the whole time. So yeah, the song I want to kill is not because like, again, to stipulate, we're not killing songs because they're crap. We're killing songs because they're just overplayed and they're blah blah on and on and on. So, got a question. What I should have looked it up too. I forgot to look it up. But the sometime in your life, lean on me.
Yeah.
Someone to lean on.
Lean on. Yeah. So that song, whatever the fuck that song is, please, for the love of God, bullet to the head.
I agree.
Yeah. I just. I mean, the first time I heard it, I was like, "Ha, they're joking. This is an ad for diarrhea medicine or migraine." But I was like, are they serious? And let me just elaborate too. Like songs like Macarena and Gangnam Style, that kind of stuff. That's just everybody wants to kill. Would you believe I've never. Oh, that's not true. I probably heard them in a club song, but I didn't even know what they were. But I've heard people bitch about it so much. You knew,
right.
You see their little clip or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's the song I'm talking about. Someone to lean on, whatever it's called. I don't think that song. I'm just surprised it made it out of a studio. Hey, I've got this song for you. Dun, da, 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 da. You go, hey, you're gonna, and just, lights out. bury that song with that person. So whatever happened to what's his name? Oh, I don't know. He went into that studio and never came out.
Yeah.
It's one of those songs that just there's not. It's and just before you think that you're going to take your own life or people around you, then the bridge section. Just call on me, brother. We need it. Oh my God, remember. It gets
Sing
worse.
A little bit of it. Sing a little bit of the bridge. I can't remember how it goes.
I think it just breaks down to like a call. Oh, yeah.
Just call me.
Yes.
Just call. Just call me.
Yeah. So, yeah. Oh, just, I might have a problem with you. Anyway, so I'm already breaking out in a sweat. I'm getting, but yeah, the song.
Real melody. That's why you can't think of it.
Yeah. Or those opening notes. Da, 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 da. Oh, no more. That's that part. Yeah. So
that one makes me think of Stand By Me, which I think you complained about that song long before we started doing this segment. I remember you complaining about that song. Although I will say the only way my preference, my favorite version of that song is John Lennon's cover, because he just has this really unique way of doing it. Anyway, yeah, I love the way he plays guitar in his version.
Yeah. What were you saying, Heidi? We cut you off.
Oh, every semester that I taught at the high school and I had the choir, they always wanted to do "Lean on Me" or "Country Roads" or like that Blink-182 song that you killed.
Yeah.
The thing, and so the first semester or two, I'd be like, no, we're not doing that. We'll do something better, And then finally, I learned here's the way to go about them choosing terrible songs. Say okay, and go ahead and do it. And in 3 or 4 days, they're like, we don't want to sing this song anymore. I'm like, why? I thought it was so great. Great. No. Do it. Oh, come on. And they'd be like, no, please don't make us do it. That's how you do a song with a choir.
It's the same thing. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Anyway, that's tough. And the one that I wanted to bring back was, oh my God, why did I go first? It was running back, the Thin Lizzy, running back to you. Just again, not a great stretch for me, not to go Thin Lizzy, but it's one of those songs that so if you've been in and around the Houston area in the last I don't know how many days we've had triple digits, but I do this thing where I forget that it's like baking cookies outside with no cookies, and I go for a run. And when I'm running, I just realized how much slower I've been lately. I used to go out and do 45 minutes and just come back in no time. And not lately at all. But I got that song in my head, and it was just the whatever tempo I had it in my head. I don't run with music. I don't listen to, I only take water with me. That's the only thing I run with. But I just had that thing, and it's just the best groove. It's the greatest. It's a very happy song. It's a very simple song, and it's just got a beautiful melody, very, very, very easy to listen to, but it's also one of those earworm things so you get in your head, and it's classic Thin Lizzy, classic Phil Lynott, and there's a little story about it too. Brian Robertson and Scott Gorham, the guitar players on that record, were Brian Robertson was and is known to be a hothead, very, very, very fly off the handle, for whatever reason. And he was being especially pissy on that day and wouldn't come out of the pub. So Scott Gorham recorded all that on his own. And it was really nice too, because Scott Gorham always had somebody like John Sykes or Gary Moore, or, he always had these world-class shredding guitar players beside him, and Scott Gorham is no slouch at all. I mean, any Thin Lizzy player will tell you they never, except for Snowy White, they never had a dog in that band. Every guitar player was just worth his weight in gold, except Snowy White. Did I say that? Fuck Snowy White. Did I say that? Anyway, but
the title.
John Sykes John Sykes brought he brought that heavy rock to the max. I mean, right below that heavy metal line, where it was still. I mean, he's just one of these guitar players. Again, like I was talking about Rory Gallagher, John Sykes has the same credit with guitar players. He's just tip top, and then Gary Moore. To me, Gary Moore and Roy Gallagher were my, in Ireland, and around the world, they're just, but just being from Ireland, and hearing them play, that's all we need to represent us. That's beautiful,
Yeah.
And just side note too, the Edge couldn't touch their fucking boots. Never mind. I'm just saying. People think for a second that there's that.
No.
I'm just to put it in context. These guys are the absolute best. But anyway, it was just nice to see Scott Gorham take the spotlight on that one.
And I was going to mention that too, because the thing that a lot of things about that song are really distinctive, but the guitar solo, that kind of figures that he does is so Scott, because it makes me think that song you're talking about there, because Brian was throwing a hissy fit and wasn't there, was kind of like a foreshadow to a couple albums later. What was the one? What's the one that we're Bad Reputation, where Brian was not there for a lot. He was only on a few of the tracks, and so Scott was playing most of the guitar on that record, including Dancing in the Moonlight, which is the other, to me, is a distinctive Scott song, and just makes me think like it would be kind of. I mean, I love all these other guitar players too, but when it was just Scott and Brian and Philo, there was a really kind of a tight, because those guys were the only constant throughout at least most of the history of the band.
And again, just like Rory Gallagher, you cannot go wrong with any record. Start wherever you like. Yeah. And just go through it. Shades of a Blue Orphanage is a little bit hippie, because that was a very, very, that's late 60s, and they're really finding their feet. So it's nice to go back that way. But I mean, you can start chronologically at the end and work your way back. You can even start in the middle, Thin Lizzy is one of those bands that you're just not going to get. You're just going to, anyway. So yeah, I've said my piece. Who's killing next?
I'll kill next. Okay. This
Good
is
girl.
I am killing the song because it is crap, but I'm gonna get it from the Irish loving crowd. They're not gonna like me killing the song, but I have to kill the song. I cannot
do it.
Rattling Bog.
Yes.
I can't stand it. The bug on the leaf, and the leaf on the limb, and the limb on the branch, and the branch on the tree, and the devil below, and I don't know what it's on, but it's like goes on and on and on and on and on.
I think we found our singer for that song.
No, I am not singing that song. I refuse.
Yeah.
No, I can't stand it.
That song is double killed now. I think Patty, you killed it. I think.
Yeah.
You did. I'm sorry.
Last.
No. That's good. That's good.
I think we've established
what we do is
Yeah.
We like to beat the shit out of corpses as well, because so that's one of those things. But we actually played that song for the first time at College Station 2 Saturdays ago.
Oops.
Yeah. No, it was great, because there was some friends of ours there, and they've been requesting that song for years.
Yeah.
And so we got them to sing. We got them to sing in the audience. We got them to sing the verses, and we just joined in We joined in on the instrument. Oh, actually, we played the whole song, but they sang the verses, and we came in. Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Change all the words to it. Like, actually make it worth listening to if you have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe put "We Didn't Start the Fire" lyrics in.
Yeah, that might actually work.
Oh,
yeah,
I know.
Yeah, it was funny too, because we couldn't. They were singing. As usually when crowds are singing something and by themselves, they're not really in it. There's no fixed key that anybody's singing in. So Patrick and I were looking together. What key is it? E? No.
Yeah.
And Chris finally said, just fuck it, G. Let's just do G.
Yeah.
So, and then we were we figured out what the chords were, and then we're listening to them and let them keep singing, and then they kind of signal us when it's going to the chorus, like.
Yeah,
that went on for like 5 minutes or something.
Yeah. It's like the national anthem singer that changes keys 5 times before they get to the end.
Yeah. So have you got a song that you'd like to bring back or shine a little light on, or?
Yeah, but it's unusual for. Okay. So, and this came up because Nick and I were having a conversation about his basketball playing and confidence, and how do you focus when you get to that pressure situation, that game time, because he's very talented, but it's always different when you're on a court with a bunch of other players that are so talented, and which is the right play to make and whatever. And we've been trying to tell him, you just have to lose yourself in working hard every minute, whether it's a game or practice. You're just working hard, and you're going for it. You're perfecting your shot. Instead of thinking of all the competition and what could go wrong, and just lose yourself in the fact that you are going for it. And that made me think of my go-to song when I was doing like my recitals and the conservatory stuff, and it still is if I need to like bring my confidence up or whatever. And it's Eminem's "Lose Yourself."
Oh.
And that's maybe an unusual pick for me, but I really do like that song. I like what he did with it. The lyrics are great. I don't like very many rap artists, but I do like Eminem. I do think he's extremely talented.
I've heard that a lot. I've heard that from a lot of people.
Yeah, he is talented.
Yeah. I don't know his stuff, but yeah.
Is that the one where he says the music, the moment, you gotta never let it go? Okay. I only thought that was based on what the theme that you were talking about. Yeah.
I think you could turn that into an Irish rock song, Patty. I think you should do that.
Yeah. I'm game. And so how did you come across that song? Is that or you're just a fan of his music?
No, not overall, but I do like a bunch of his songs. But I probably just heard it whenever it was popular. I'd have to look up the year it came out, but it was still somewhat popular when I had to do my first like big thing at ASU, and I was just nervous as could be. I could not have been more nervous, and that would be what I would listen to in the practice room or behind the stage before I went on stage, shaking like a leaf.
Yeah. I don't know a whole lot about rap, but I rap seems to have gotten. I'm not an expert on this, but it seems the stuff that I hear in the clubs where we play seems to have gotten really just unimaginative and lazy.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say in recent decades or recent years.
Yeah,
it's just there's no melodic shifts or anything. Like hip hop was great because they actually had chord changes and stuff, and melodies. But I will say the stuff I've heard of Eminem, he's really good at coming up with patterns and rhythms that are actually kind of imaginative and catchy and not just whatever kind of crappy stuff you hear these days. So yeah. So Heidi, I want to ask you too. Like, we've talked about classical stuff recently. Before I move on to my kills and resurrections, are there any classical pieces that you think it would be worthy of killing?
Oh gosh, yeah.
I'm just curious to know because I've never heard anybody talk about that.
Yeah, there's a lot that are worth killing. I can't think of like off the top of my head like what would be. I don't like a big work or like a violin piece.
Just anything that you think is.
I can't.
People just overplay or whatever, or is not as good as people make it out to be.
I'm not a huge. I'm going to get myself in tons of trouble. I'm going to get all these nasty messages. I won't be hired around town. What are you trying to do to me?
Yeah. No, we can just blur your face.
There are some violin pieces that I don't really care a lot for. I don't really like the Lalo Symphony Espanol. I don't like stuff like that. And I don't. Well, I mean that's too general of a statement. Stuff like that, but. The Mahler symphonies, I'm not a big fan of.
I'm not a fan. Yeah, I don't know it, but I'm not a fan now either. So there's two of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some that just go on and on and on. And I mean, there are a lot of classical pieces that are as minimalistic, believe it or not, as some of that rap stuff that you don't want to listen to.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I guess that's kind of the baseline for me is it's got to have something to it.
What about something like Bolero, which
Bolero's okay. I mean, it's okay.
it's one that's kind of taken on a pop song status, I think, because of the movie that was in years. I forgot to. It was back in the 70s.
It's okay. Yeah. I mean, there's some like that are all right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of ones that every time I get to a gig, I'm like, oh, I don't want to play this. now they're not coming to me. They'll come to me after you move on to something else. But.
Yeah. Well, we could make that a weekly thing too. I'm just curious because there's got to be just tons of things that you could bring up.
Yeah. You know what? I'm just going to say it, but I'm going to hear about it. And it's not necessarily a classical piece, but it's not that I don't like the song, but that song, Hallelujah, that's so popular. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. It's a great melody and it's a cool song. Somebody please tell me why you would pick that for your wedding when your bride is walking down the aisle and you're tying somebody to a chair and cutting off their hair and then all this other, like, the lyrics are so terrible. How could you pick that to walk down the aisle to? And I had posted this on Facebook one day after a wedding. I'm like, I just don't understand why you would pick that song for your wedding. And the backlash I got from, I love that song. I love that. I'm like, no, I get it. I like the song. But how could you? Why for a wedding when there's so many other choices?
I know you could pick that Police song, "Every Breath You Take." I mean, that's got such a great message.
Oh yeah, right? Yeah. No, the choir always wanted to sing Hallelujah. They would say, "We want to sing Hallelujah." I'd be like, "Oh, okay, do you? Okay." So then I pass out the lyrics, and they're singing through it, and they start to get really uncomfortable, and they're like, "We can't sing this."
You're talking about the Leonard Cohen song,
yes,
just to be clear. Yeah,
yeah, and the church song too. Yeah,
yeah. The first one I was thinking of, that's the first thing I thought of, which is that's something. Anyway,
don't get me started.
That's probably kind of overplayed too.
Church songs to kill. The list is too long.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh Jesus. Yeah.
Well, I think if we just burn the church down, then there you go. You're welcome. So, Chad, kill something for the love of God.
Okay. Wildlife by Talking Heads.
Which
again, not a particularly bad song, but I get annoyed because it's one of the only top 10 hits they had, which, good, fair play to them, as you would say. But it's not anywhere close to being their best work. This was a song that was on the True Stories soundtrack record for David Byrne's film, the movie that he put out in whatever it was, in 1986, I think. And I always think of this. I hear it all the time, and like at HEB, they would be playing. That's the only Talking Head song you hear at HEB is Wildlife, and it's like, come on, really? But it makes me think of when I was a senior in high school, which was the year after the song came out. I went to a party at somebody was having a big party at their house that was like sort of a pre-party to prom. So they had the DJ at this party who was going to be DJing at the prom. So it was like sort of a get to know this guy sort of type of thing and give him a chance to know what kind of music we like. So I went up at one point and requested Talking Heads from this guy, and he goes, "Oh yeah, sure." And then, of course, this is back in the 80s. DJs actually still had LPs and stuff that they play. So he's flipping through something. I got it. It's like, cool, thanks, man. And a few minutes later, Wildlife starts playing. I'm like, really? Come on, man. You can't dance to this. Yeah.
Yes, you can.
It's just a really silly song. And it's not, it's kind of a frivolous thing. Most of the songs on that record, the True Stories record, are kind of second rate David Byrne material. It's not his best work. Anyway, so I'm going to replace that with some of David Byrne's better work. It's one of his first solo records that came out in 1994. And it was his only self-titled record. And it's I actually saw him play. I saw this tour when he came to New York, where I was living at the time. He played at the Supper Club with this lineup. It was a really just like the record. It was a very sparse lineup. It was him on acoustic guitar. I could think electric as well. And then a bass player, drums, and a percussionist who was switching between like congas and stuff like that, and a xylophone or marimbas, I think. So really interesting lineup. And but that album is particularly exceptional, I think, because it sounds more like Talking Head. At that point, it was the most Talking Head sounding record he put out in his solo career. But it's also really guitar heavy, and a lot of people don't. At least I hadn't up at that point really noted what a great lead guitar player he was. So there's a lot of really heavy, dirty, aggressive guitar on that record that I hadn't really heard from him at that point. So it's well worth a listen. There's also just the band on it, particularly the drummer. I'm trying to remember. Todd Turkisher, I think is the guy's name, was the drummer on that record and the tour. He is absolutely fantastic. And the way he blends with, I can't remember the percussionist's name, but the way those two guys blend together is just really, really cool. So that's the whole record. There's some great songs on that. The one I would point out, if you want to just home in on one, is called Lilies of the Valley. Has some really great drums on it, but the whole record is just really great. So David Byrne's self-titled record, check it out. And it is
very cool,
by far extremely underrated. His whole solo career is probably there's not enough light shown on it, but that one, I never hear anybody talking about that record. It was a while ago now. It was almost 20 years ago. No, it's almost 30 years ago now, right? Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is getting up there. We're getting old.
I thought of the number one classical piece that I can't stand.
Oh, yeah?
Eine kleine Nachtmusik.
Oh.
The Eine kleine. I can't stand it. You would recognize it.
I don't know that. I've heard puns on the title now, though. I'm realizing.
Yeah. You'll have to look that up.
Yeah. Or maybe not.
What's his name? Neil Innes from the guy who did the Ruddles. Neil Innes, he was a Monty Python guy.
Yep.
One of the songs he did with the Ruddles on their later album they did in the 90s was called Eine kleine Mittelklasse Musik, which was obviously, now I realize, a pun on the piece that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
So and I'm curious. I want to go look it up to see, because I'm not sure. I probably heard it. I probably just didn't know what it was called.
Yeah, you'll recognize it.
So I'm looking at the calendar here, boys and girls, and it looks like we're going to have next month. Actually, it's creeping up on us now.
Yep.
Very, very soon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're going to have young Heide flying into a little town called Houston. We're going to be taking off on the road. Last few weeks, we've been working with a couple of drummers and some really, really good fits. Of course, Heide hasn't had a chance to meet any of them. I've been calling her and giving her a report. He wears the same shoes as I do. But we've just been having a really good time. Because we're still haven't decided, who's doing what and what, where and when and how and whatnot. But it's been really quite enlightening to play with these guys. Really, really fun. And of course, nobody likes getting in a room and rehearsing, or practicing or teaching new songs or any of that shit. But it's just been very, very fun. So we're getting ready to we're gonna essentially drive all the way up to Montana. We're going to play all the way up, and then we're going to just shoot back down. Like gas prices, they go up like a rocket and down like a feather. We're going to go up like a feather and down like a rocket.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rocket coming.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're playing the Bitterroot Celtic Festival and Games. And we're going to play all the way up and stuff like that. So we're going to retread a couple of places that we played with you before, Heide, and we're going to have so I say this to our SlapperCast faithful and to anybody else listening. On our website right now, we're basically going to try to push this inventory clear. We're Chad's marking down the prices and just we're just going to try to clear the inventory so we can have our new summer stuff in there. So. Yeah. If you're so inclined, if you're looking for coffee, you're looking for t-shirts, you're looking for any of that stuff, we have it all now. We're good. We're knocking the prices down to clear the way so we can reload the van and head up there. So I'm working on some September dates as well. I mean, if Heide doesn't jump out of the van halfway through, we're going to try to bring her back in. We're going to bring her back in September and get to play some Houston shows. We were trying to do that before we left for this tour, but it's not to be. There's not enough days in the week. So we're gonna on the website blaggards.com and all across our social media and all that stuff. We're gonna be like I said, not marking everything down, everything clearance, everything, get it out so we can get our summer thing going. And if you know anybody that likes really good coffee, no decaf, don't be silly.
Yes.
But we got great coffee, we've got great shirts, and we got, we're just so excited to bring this new stuff to you. We're going to have, we're going to have Heide in town, captive audience. We're going to have some new stuff for you too. So
yeah,
very, very, very excited to show you that.
Yeah, it's going to be cool.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Thank you very much for listening. And if you're watching this on YouTube, like, subscribe, all that stuff, share. We'd appreciate it.
We certainly would. Heide, stay cool out there. Chad, get better.
Yeah, get better.
On it.
Me, shut up. All right.
All right.
Thank you all.